Hello everyone, Vic here with another video talking the Halloween franchise. You gave me some hot takes. Today I'm responding to all of them, going right through your comments on YouTube to give my perspective on some of your hot takes. As always, I love the feedback, love the comments, so keep those coming. If you have more comments, theories, hot takes, leave them in the comments of this video. In the future, I will try to respond to them. All right, let's get to some hot takes left by you guys, the fans. As we are all Halloween fans, we all have a lot of different fun theories and perspectives. So first, I'm going to go through some hot takes and theories from user Amilcar Musa 4218. Okay, number one, Halloween 2 and Season of the Witch are the best films in the franchise by a wide margin, but when it comes to the rest, I like 5 and Ends despite their flaws. Well, okay. Now, this is a great opening hot take. So, Halloween 2 is definitely one of the more popular ones in the franchise. Season of the Witch also is a very popular entry, but I've never seen really anybody rank those two as their top two favorite films in the series. And they're so uniquely different. So I'd love to hear more about why they're on top of this person's list. Halloween 2, I think, is by many, not myself, but many consider the best sequel in the franchise. I put it below Halloween 4, of course. But it's a lot to say it's actually better than the original Halloween. And if I'm understanding the comment right, you're saying that after those first two comments, number 3 and number 4 on the list for you is part 5 and Halloween Ends. So your top four, this person's top four is Halloween 2, Season of the Witch, Halloween 5, and Halloween Ends. And that is a completely original top four list on the top four films of the Halloween franchise that we have not, I don't think anybody else has that exact top four. And they're also uniquely different. So I would be interested to see like what is it about those movies that stand out because they're so different. So for those to be your top four is very interesting, but definitely a hot take for sure. Okay, number 2. Carpenter's original film laid the foundation for a great franchise, but it's highly overrated on every level. Well, listen, I asked for hot takes, and this is certainly a hot take. Listen, movies are subjective by nature. Some people's favorite movie is someone else's most hated movie, and some people's most trashy hated movies are other people's favorites. Somewhere in the world, someone thinks Troll 2 is one of the best movies of all time. Somewhere in the world, someone thinks Repo Genetic Opera, talking about you, Nick Arcana, thinks that's an amazing horror film musical. Okay, Halloween 1978. It's very subjective, but I'm going to say objectively, there's no question it's one of the most influential horror movies of all time. Its impact cannot be understated. Even if you don't like the movie itself, which I do actually like the movie itself, but its impact cannot be overstated. I mean, it spawned almost a damn near decade worth of slasher ripoffs that rejuvenated the horror genre, brought horror back to prominence in the 80s, inspired Friday the 13th, then inspired Nightmare on Elm Street, all the big slashers. They start off, the grandfather arguably is either, you could say Psycho, Black Christmas, but Halloween definitely is right up there. And for me, I really do think it's one of the best horror films of all time. I'm also not only a big Halloween fan, I'm a big John Carpenter fan. I think that outside of The Thing, which is, I think, his absolute masterpiece, is Cream de la Cream is The Thing. I think number 2 on my Carpenter list definitely is Halloween. So I disagree with that, but that's a hot take. Hot takes are supposed to be things that many people disagree with. Okay, number 3. Halloween 5 is better than Halloween 4. Ouch. This one hits me in the chest. This one hits me like heartburn. Halloween 5 is better than Halloween 4, and Resurrection is slightly better than H2O, although they both suck. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's Tina is better than Rachel, and Dr. Loomis is better than Laurie Strode has ever been. Okay. All right. Just going to pick this one, little by little here. Halloween 5 is better than Halloween 4. Listen, again, subjective, but I can't really, Halloween 4 slander, I can't get on board with. To me, it's my favorite sequel. I think it's the best sequel in the franchise. Halloween 5 has a lot of issues. I do think it's very underrated, though. I think Halloween 5 is actually pretty watchable. So I do always like when Halloween 5 gets praised, although maybe not at the expense of Halloween 4. Resurrection better than H2O. That is like, whew, that is steaming hot. You are in the oven, sir. Better than H2O. Man, Resurrection, Dangertainment, Busta Rhymes beating the shit out of Michael Myers. Who thought it would ever get this level of respect. But listen, again, hot take central. These are hot takes. I love it. I have to disagree with that. I think H2O is definitely a better movie than Resurrection. But I've seen a lot of people dislike H2O, so I can kind of see that. And well, you do say they both suck, so I guess you don't really like either of them. Tina's better than Rachel. Man, I'll tell you what. These are like the most boldest hot takes. Man, Tina better than Rachel. Tina's more fun than Rachel. But Rachel in Halloween 4 is like top notch final girl material. I mean, she is a great big sister figure. She's courageous. She fights back against Michael. Tina, we don't. I see elements of Tina becoming a good final girl. The way she sacrificed herself for Jamie. Maybe we should have kept her alive though. They killed her at the high point of her character arc, and she just dies. So, Loomis is better than Laurie Strode has ever been. Listen, that's one of my hot takes as well. No argument here. I think a lot of Halloween fans starting to come to the conclusion that we don't value Laurie Strode as much as the world thinks we do. You know, the Halloween producers, creators, the franchise, they really think that Laurie Strode is like our most emotionally connected to character, but she's different in all the damn timelines. She has a different character on all the timelines. There's no one through line of who Laurie Strode is. She's different in 1978 than she is in part 2, and that's different from who she is in H2O, and then her H2O version is different than who she is in 2018. So it's like she's not consistent enough in the timelines for me to be like have this amazing emotional connection to her. And I just think that Dr. Loomis part 1 to part 6 is the protagonist. The battle with him and Michael is the main storyline of Halloween. I think that the Laurie Strode character, the best thing that happened for Laurie Strode, the character, is that Jamie Lee Curtis became a big star. Once that happened, it was off the races with Jamie Lee Curtis always coming back to the Halloween series and the creators wanting her to come back because of her star power. And because of that, we get sort of an overhyping, over an exaggeration of Laurie Strode, the character. She's a decent final girl in the first one, but she's not better than Nancy in Elm Street. She's not better than Sydney in Scream. She's not better than the girl in Black Christmas. There's a lot of final girls who do more than Laurie Strode does in the original Halloween. And she doesn't do damn near jack shit in Halloween 2 either. So Loomis is the cavalry in both movies. So I think Loomis is the main character, the main protagonist, but Jamie Lee Curtis's star power elevated Laurie Strode to heights maybe the character actually doesn't deserve. Okay. Number 4, sticking still with Amila Carmusa 4218 to again appreciate the long list of hot takes you gave. Halloween 2018 is the worst movie in the franchise. Yes, worse than H2O and Resurrection. You already said those two movies suck, so you think really lowly of Halloween 2018. And worse than Rob Zombie's works. Okay, so also not a fan of Rob Zombie's movies. So truly, yeah, I mean, from what I'm gathering, the top 4 for this user really is Halloween 2, Season of the Witch, Halloween 5, Halloween Ends. The first one says he likes 5, but then he does say Halloween 5. No. Okay. Just saying H2O and Resurrection suck, but never actually said Halloween 5 sucked. So yeah, wow, that's a really fantastic top 4, and actually really doesn't like a lot of the franchise going to these other movies. Halloween 2018 being the worst movie, wow, that is tough because, I mean, I gotta disagree. I don't think it's even the worst movie in the new trilogy. I think that it's by far better than Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, but I mean, listen, I asked for hot takes. This is what we get. So if you think Halloween 2018 is the worst movie, I would love to get this person's thoughts then on Halloween Kills and Halloween. Well, he likes Ends, so we know that he's a big fan of Ends. But then I'm wondering what is it that makes this person put Halloween Kills over Halloween 2018? Interesting. Okay. Dick Warlock is better than Nick Castle, and Don Shanks is better than Wilbur. Okay, interesting. Dick Warlock is Halloween 2 Michael Myers. Of course, Nick Castle is the original. I've seen that expressed before. I'm not mad at that. I think that's a fair take. For some people, Michael's interpretation of Halloween 2 captured their imagination more than Nick Castle's Michael Myers. I've seen that expressed a lot, so I'm not surprised by that. Don Shanks better than Wilbur. I think that's fair. I think that the weak point of Halloween 4 probably is Michael Myers. I mean, a lot of it is that stupid mask, the worst mask in the franchise. But also, the guy's wearing freaking shoulder pads like he's just coming from football practice. So the whole look of Michael is kind of weird in Halloween 4. Halloween 5, Shanks, I mean, they let him do a lot of cool background stalking in Halloween 5. So he has a feel a little bit more like Halloween 1, Halloween 2 Mike with all the stalking he's doing in the background. He does have the stupid long neck mask, though. The mask is way too long. But I'm not mad at Shanks in Halloween 5. I think he does a good job. James Ducournau was a bad Michael Myers, and Aaron Armstrong from the Phil's Flashback is extremely underrated. Oh, yeah, Aaron Armstrong. So okay, so that's who plays the Michael Myers in the Halloween Kills flashback. He does look a lot like Michael Myers. I'm okay with that. I think that the main thing there is the mask looks amazing in the flashback. Man, but James Ducournau, man, I can't get on board with him being a bad Michael Myers. I think that the best thing about the new trilogy is James Ducournau as Michael Myers. I mean, I would, if I could bring him back as Michael Myers in all the future movies, future reboots, that they'll end up doing. So I got to disagree with that. And okay, and it even says Aaron Armstrong should have played Michael in the entire new trilogy. I was extremely happy with James Ducournau in the new trilogy, but I respect that everybody has a favorite Michael Myers. Somewhere, somebody must think that Halloween H2O Michael Myers was the best interpretation. It's got to be out there. Halloween Resurrection Michael, someone's got to think that that's the best interpretation of Michael. So it's got to be out there. Okay, the Halloween the Halloween 5 mask is the second most airy, and the mask from 2018 movie sucks. Whoa, okay. Well, we just kind of touched on this, but I'm a fan of the 2018 Halloween mask. It's basically the damn OG mask. It's the OG look from the original, but also, this user does like Halloween 2 Michael over Halloween 1 Michael, so maybe he's not a big fan of the Halloween mask, how it looks in the original Halloween. Halloween 2, the mask is the same mask, but it looks different over what's his face? It looks different on Dick Warlock's face because of the shape of his face, stretches the mask in a different way, giving it a whole different look. So, okay, interesting. The Halloween 5 mask doesn't get a lot of love because of the stupid long neck thing, but eh. Okay, Ends was the only worthwhile film in the entire Blumhouse trash trilogy, and Corey Cunningham was the only interesting character. Okay, so what I'm gathering from this user is that he loves Ends, he hates Halloween 2018, and he has Halloween Kills somewhere in the middle, even though he thinks that's trash as well. So I'm still curious about why he likes Halloween Kills over Halloween 2018, though. Okay, moving on. Laurie Strode is a rather annoying character, especially when they try to make her into something like Ripley and Sarah Connor. Listen, no disagreements here. I thought that Laurie Strode, her character in Halloween 2018, being that militant and that waiting for Michael 40 years later seems a little bit off, but yeah. The fight between Laurie and Michael in the kitchen at the end of Ends was unnecessary and it didn't add anything to the film. Listen, I say this all the time. That was the wrong ending to Halloween Ends. I like Halloween Ends, the first half of the movie. I'm okay with this new direction focusing on the character Corey. My problem was if you're going to do that, like really lean into that, really stick with that and really commit to it because you have the whole movie being about Corey. The arc is Corey's arc, his descent into becoming a killer, with Michael as sort of a background supporting character, aiding in Corey becoming a killer. That's all fine. If you want to use Michael that way, I don't agree with necessarily Michael being used that way. I would have just had Michael be dead in the movie. I'd had the evil taking over Corey, but I don't need Michael in the sewer. I just had it being more about the evil itself. It doesn't need to transfer directly from Michael. That said, this whole end scene with Michael versus Laurie is just shoehorned in because they remembered, oh, we've been advertising this damn movie, this whole trilogy be about Laurie versus Michael, so we have to force this here at the ending. But it's the wrong ending for this movie. This movie was Corey's story, and you kill Corey, disregard him like in the last 10 minutes of the movie to focus on the Laurie versus Michael thing, and it doesn't feel earned. It doesn't feel like the right ending, and it just leaves the audience feeling like, what the hell? This is all a damn waste of time. But that's why also I'm not a huge fan of Ends. From this user, although he doesn't like this ending, he's a huge fan of Ends in general. So for me, it actually brought the movie down big time. I actually ranked the movie a lot lower because it's, you can't be half pregnant with this idea. You gotta just commit to the whole Corey thing then, and they didn't do it. All right. So thank you again for those hot takes from Amilcar Musa 4218. Gonna move on to now user Jack-S5X9B. Okay. And he has 3 hot takes. Appreciate all 3 of them. Number 1, I like the idea of Michael and Laurie being siblings. I've talked about it before. I'm okay with it. I grew up with it. That was the franchise to me. I never second guessed it. I never thought it was stupid. I know a lot of people, when they read that John Carpenter had drunkenly come up with the idea and had no idea what to do with Halloween 2, a lot of people would just sour the idea of the sibling thing. They're like, wait a minute, John Carpenter hates this idea, so now we hate it too. And I'm the biggest John Carpenter fan, but don't let that revise your entire opinion on Halloween 2 or the sibling storyline. Someone else pointed out basically that Michael kills his sister in the first scene of the original Halloween. So there's a precedent set within the original story that maybe Michael has a thing about killing his family members. So Halloween 2, in terms of Michael being after his family or being after another sister figure, it does make sense with the first movie. It's just the first movie didn't write into the rest of the movie the idea that Laurie Strode was Michael's sister. That doesn't necessarily add up with just watching the original Halloween, but I'm perfectly okay with that as a storyline. I thought that the new trilogy wanted to have its Michael Myers, Laurie Strode cake and eat it too. They wanted to have a connection that made sense with those two characters, but then you remove the sibling connection, but then you kind of play the movie out in a way that makes more sense if they are siblings. Like Laurie being worried about her brother escaping from prison coming after her, knowing his entire history is like him chasing his family. That makes a lot more sense to me than whatever her concerns are in Halloween 2018. She was a random victim of his from 40 years ago, and she's made her entire 40-year life since then. I don't know. It's just, whatever, however you want to take it, I'm cool with the sibling storyline. Okay. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch is the second best Halloween movie. Wow. Okay. So another user who puts Season of the Witch very high up there. Sounds like similar to our last user. This person is very high on Halloween 3. And listen, I spent most of my teen years and a lot of my adult years, I was quite frankly ignoring Halloween 3. I was just, it was in the box set and I wouldn't watch it. I was like, okay, it's not a Michael Myers movie. It's a spin-off movie. I didn't really give it a chance. I watched it one time in passing and was like, whatever. In the last couple years, when I've watched Halloween 3, I'm like, man, I've been missing out my entire life. This is a great movie. This is a fun, super fun Halloween-themed movie. Like, it feels like one of those movies you should watch every year around Halloween time. It has such an original story. I'm all for Halloween 3 getting a lot of props. You're right. It's better than most of the Halloween sequels. Okay, Halloween 5. The character assassination of Dr. Loomis is the worst film in the franchise. Oh, okay. Well, listen. I mean, one of my hot takes was that I actually like Dr. Loomis in Halloween 5. This is what I would say. Uh, this is not so much of a hot take. The not liking Halloween 5 Dr. Loomis. I've seen most fans when they talk about Dr. Loomis, they tend to hate Halloween 5 Loomis. I get it. He's kind of off the rails, but my last hot takes video, I kind of explained why I'm actually a fan of Dr. Loomis and Halloween 5. And Halloween 5 is a movie. Listen, it's been shitted on its entire existence. I think it has some merit. Going with the right mindset, realize there's going to be some stupid things there. I think it's a worthwhile sequel, worth watching. Thank you again to Jack S5X9B for those hot takes. We're going to go ahead and move on now to Mr. Byron Weaver 33, who has a whole list here of hot takes. So we'll dive into this. Number 1, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers should have been the end of the whole franchise. I've said this about Halloween 4 a lot. Halloween 4 makes a great full circle ending to the franchise because we remember the original opening of Halloween is, Michael Myers as a kid, going crazy, becoming evil, killing his sister, and then his whole journey. So Halloween 4 ends with the idea of his niece starting that same path as a kid, killing a family member. Dr. Loomis right there seeing it. It's a full circle idea of that. Maybe it's not Michael himself, just like ongoing evil thing, but it passes down. So you leave it up to the imagination from that point. Does Jamie Lloyd grow up to become a killer? I think Halloween 4 would have been a fantastic ending to the franchise. I agree. Okay, a sequel to Halloween Resurrection could have been a better choice rather than rebooting the entire franchise. Yes, I think that there is a way to just continue where Halloween Resurrection left off because Michael Myers was alive in the hospital. He was burnt, but being burnt has never stopped Michael before in the past, so why should it stop him now? Yeah, cut to 3-4 years later, you have Michael recovered in Haddonfield. At this point, you could have him go after John Tate. John Tate's still out there. him and his girlfriend. He probably can't get Josh Hart and Michelle Williams back at this time because their careers have blown up. But you could have done that, or he could go after Busta Rhymes. You could bring back Freddie. You could bring back the main girl from Halloween Resurrection. I mean, why not? I mean, honestly, people didn't like the movie, but it doesn't mean you have to junk the entire timeline. I mean, like I said, in the timeline, Michael is alive, and you could just pick up from there and just keep going. And the timeline there, of course, would be Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween H2O, Resurrection, and then just kind of go from there. Like, you could pretty much do anything you want, but there's no reason why the events of H2O, Resurrection 1 and 2 can't be canon and just picking up from there. So I agree with that 100%. Okay, John Carpenter's music was missing from Halloween H2O. I agree with that. You had Scream type music in Halloween H2O. You would have benefited greatly with the whole Carpenter score. In fact, I don't know if you noticed, but Carpenter almost was going to direct H2O, but apparently asked for $10 million, which it's almost like he was asking for so much money that he actually didn't really want to do it. But he was like, hey, if they're going to pay me this damn amount of money, then I'll take on the job. And Halloween Resurrection, also missing John Carpenter's music. One of the best parts about Halloween H2O is when the end credits hit. When Laurie chops off Michael's head, it hits to the original score for the end credits. And that is just, that popped me out of my seat. I was like, yeah! And keep the H6 mask for both films, H2O and Resurrection. Both movies would definitely have been better with with the mask from Halloween 6. Now, so far, these I would say are more, Byron, these are more, I would say, not hot takes, not cold takes either, but these are things that are pretty agreeable so far. I would say, like, I haven't seen anything so far yet that I'm disagreeing with. So we've seen some real hot like flaming hot takes, and we've seen some that I feel like a majority of people might agree with. Let's see if there's some more hot stuff here from Byron. We should have gotten evil Jamie Lloyd in 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Hell yeah, absolutely agree with that. The thing with Halloween 5 was they kind of dropped the ball and just not picking up on the Jamie's evil storyline. It's almost like they got scared by the idea of like, hey, now we teased this great ending for 4, but we really can't turn this girl into a killer, can we? It's like, I mean, it hasn't really been done before. You saw Friday the 13th got scared also with the idea of Tommy Jarvis becomes the killer. They didn't really do that either. So it's like, now, we've seen a recent movie. I'm not going to give it away, but there was a recent movie I saw in theaters where one of our heroes actually in a sequel became the killer. But people, it seems like the studios, they had cold feet about that. But I would have loved to seen what they'd done with Jamie Lloyd as a killer in part 5. Actually, I have a video in the archives if anyone wants to go back. It's all about the idea of Jamie Lloyd becoming the killer in part 5 and what I would have done with it. Just a fun fan fiction thing. I think it's called If Jamie Was the Killer on Halloween 5. Check that out if you're interested in the idea of that. Okay. Rachel should have been in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Absolutely. I love Kara in Halloween 6. I've said many times that Kara is a fantastic final girl, underrated from Halloween 6. But realistically, if you're doing, you're bringing back Dr. Loomis, you have Tommy Doyle. If you have Rachel Carruthers there, that does make that movie very, 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 very interesting. I would have loved it for sure. So, okay. Save the character Corey Cunningham for a Halloween TV series. I don't know if does Blumhouse, do they still have the rights of the Blumhouse story where they could actually do that? I don't know how the rights work with that. Corey Cunningham, well, basically you're saying keep him alive at the end of Halloween Ends and then have that as an ongoing thing in the TV show. I agree 100%. Halloween Ends, you didn't have to do a big change to the ending. Just at the very end, show Corey on the ground where he's laying, where he was dead, and just have his eyes open. Boom, that's it. After you've 100% killed Michael Myers, Laurie Strode giving her monologue, cut to Corey on the ground, eyes open. Perfect. Okay, or cut to where Corey's body was, his body's gone. Repeat the ending of Halloween 1 where the body's just gone, then you cut to shots of all throughout the town. Where is he? Where's Corey? He could be anywhere. Mimic the ending of Halloween 1 again talking about the possibility of a great full circle ending. Not having John Tate return in Halloween Resurrection was a big missed opportunity. So I agree with that. I wonder if it's just how much of it was just that Josh Hart was so big of a star by the time he got to Resurrection that it wasn't feasible to get him back. I mean, I think at that point he had already done Pearl Harbor with Ben Affleck. So it's like, I don't know if you can, I guess in hindsight, it might have been kind of corny to recast the role of John Tate when Halloween H2O was still fresh in everybody's mind. It might have felt like a downgrade to recast the character. If you can get Josh Hartnett back, I think that's a great idea because the way they did it just supports my idea, my theory right now that Michael Myers didn't give a shit about John Tate because he doesn't get the job in Halloween H2O. I don't think he's actually there to kill him, and then we never see him go after John Tate again. So apparently John Tate doesn't mean shit to Michael Myers. So okay, we did need the white trash backstory for Michael and Rob Zombie's Halloween, preaching to the choir. The first 5 to 10 minutes of background given for Michael Myers and Rob Zombie's Halloween, I don't think you need it. We don't need to know that Michael had a terrible family and was bullied at school. I would just skip to Michael in the mental hospital being talked to by Loomis. I would have started the movie there and just had the whole movie take place there. Okay. The events of Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 were all in Laurie's head. I think there's probably a good chance that's true. The less timelines, the better. aka everything is a canon minus the events of Halloween 3. Well, that's going to take quite a bit of thinking to make everything canon. And then there's a way to tie certain things together. Like, okay, Halloween 6 to H2O. It is possible to tie that together. It's unlikely. I've said before, the biggest thing is basically that Laurie and the cops at the beginning, everybody would have heard about the events that take place in 4, 5, and 6. So Michael's like shenanigans would have been known. But I mean, the fact that Loomis is still alive in H2O's canon, that gives some hope to it. It's like they could have just said he died in the fire back at the end of Halloween 2, but they have Loomis alive, and then Laurie faking her death. It does sort of go with Halloween 4. But you got the weird thing about how she has 2 kids, then John and Jamie Lloyd, and she left 1 kid behind. So it's possible. Now, you can't connect Halloween 2018 to anything because freaking Michael's in jail the entire time for 40 years, so we can't really do anything with that. But some people like the whole choose your own scare adventure. I think that it'd be nice to have a franchise where it was one consistent storyline, but they went off the rails with that with Halloween, and numerous times they keep resetting the damn timeline. So I don't know. At this point, it's almost fun to know that Michael's had this many different adventures, this many different timelines. It's actually kind of fun. Halloween Ends as a character stuff would work more with Allison because she's a character we, the audience, are familiar with. Ends has the best written dialogue in the entire trilogy. Interesting. I didn't really pay attention to Halloween Ends' dialogue, but I don't remember it standing out as being fantastic. But maybe when I do a rewatch of that in October, I will pay attention to the dialogue to see if it stands out. The first point's a really good point. Allison going through the plight that Corey does at the end of, or in Halloween Ends, makes a lot of sense because we've seen Allison's trauma really played out through Halloween 2018. Her dad dies. Halloween Kills. Her mom dies. She's a great candidate to go to have this Corey arc in Halloween Ends. And it ties the trilogy together way better. If there's a complaint about Corey that many people may have, it's just that he should have appeared earlier in the trilogy. And since this is the final entry in a trilogy, you should be able to watch them back to back and have them sort of tied together with a consistent through line. So you should have had Corey maybe be Allison's boyfriend in the first movie, or just be around, have something to do with something. Maybe he's Vicky's boyfriend in the first one and he survives. But having the arc of Corey in Halloween Ends, having that given to a character we've gotten to know throughout the trilogy, makes Halloween Ends a lot more digestible for the audience who felt like it didn't go with the rest of the trilogy. The Dr. Sartain twist and the Evil Dies Tonight chance killed some of the momentum those 2 films had. Absolutely. Those films come to a damn halt with these 2 storylines. Sartain's thing in the middle of Halloween 2018, I don't think it makes any sense at all. It sounds like a really stupid writing way to have Laurie and Michael come together at the end, which you didn't need that. Once Allison's in the car, the police car with Michael, you could have Michael chase her out the police car, and then Allison just runs to Laurie's compound, and Michael chases her through the woods to show up at the compound. That's it. You could just have a chase scene where Michael's chasing Allison all the way to the compound, and that's how he gets to Lori. You don't need the whole contrived Sartain thing. Just have Sartain have his death scene where Michael stomps his head in, but you don't got to have the whole damn thing about him, being a weirdo and putting Michael's mask on and just acting stupid. Anyways, and then of course we know my thoughts on Evil dies tonight. False advertising. Evil did not die that night. All you died in the mob, and Tommy Doyle, you are the worst character in the new trilogy. Okay. The concept for Halloween Resurrection would work better in today's world compared to when it originally came out in 2002. I think yes and no. I think that it would almost seem a little more played out now. The advantage that Resurrection had back then was that kind of storyline seemed like a little more ahead of its time. Since then, though, you think about we got Unfriended Part 2. Anything with that now would feel almost kind of played out. Back then it was kind of felt like a new thing. It just the problem with Halloween Resurrection was the execution of the idea and having shitty characters nobody cares about, and the whole execution was off. But the concept, I'd rather them just not revisit that concept at all, to be honest, in today's world. Some of the unmade pitches are better than what currently have. This is 100% true. There's an entire book. I'm forgetting the name. It's Taking Shape. It's on Amazon. There's two versions. There's Taking Shape, which is really going to the backstory of each Halloween movie, like how they're made and all that stuff behind that. But there's a Taking Shape that's all about scripts, Halloween movies that didn't get made. So that one, if you're a big Halloween fan, I would recommend getting Taking Shape on Amazon. Goes into a lot of possible cool ideas that didn't come to be, but there's a lot of good possibilities there for sure. Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris, is still alive and well in Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. She was in the film because it wasn't the real Jamie Lloyd. As a matter of fact, it was a decoy. Holy shit. This I've never... Now, this is... All right, Byron, now you're coming through with hot takes here. A lot of this stuff I agree with. A lot of stuff was like, man, this ain't a hot take. This is exactly what a lot of us agree with. But this one is really interesting. Jamie Lloyd. Maybe, Byron, in the comments, maybe expand upon that idea more. In a future video, maybe we'll talk about this idea more. But I've never thought about that idea. Jamie Lloyd is alive and it's a decoy. Well, I don't know. I mean... They call her Jamie. The nurse says, Jamie, get out of here, you and your baby. And then she does try to contact Dr. Loomis, which means that feels like it's Jamie Lloyd. So I don't know. We'd have to really hash that idea out. And I'm on board because it's pretty out there. I've never heard that theory before. So I'm on board with the possibility, but we have to kind of unravel that more and see. So I got to see what you're thinking with that. Frank Hawkins should have been the sheriff instead of Barker. If Ends was on the same night as 2018, Kills, it would have been the best movie of the whole trilogy. Okay, I see what you're saying. Frank Hawkins should have been the sheriff instead of Barker. Yeah, well, Sheriff Barker should have been fired after the first movie. The fact that he still has his job by the time Halloween Ends rolls around. What the hell? He's the worst, most useless, ineffective sheriff we've ever seen in horror movies. I don't understand. I mean, coming off, Brackett and Meeker. I mean, think about how amazing Meeker was. Now, think of how useless Barker is. Barker is an example of just bad writing. I mean, it's like, why introduce that character in the first place? Have him keep showing up, but he never does anything, never accomplishes anything. Useless character. Hawkins, to me, he did die in 2018. He got ran over, clearly. So I don't know how Hawkins is even alive in a trilogy that's actually taking itself seriously. To have somebody so clearly killed the first one still be alive in the second one just was like, you're not taking shit seriously. He said if Ends was on the same night as 2018 and Kills, it would have been the best movie of the whole trilogy. I think that might have been the original plan, but the whole thing with that is you have to drop the whole Corey storyline then. I don't think you can do the Corey storyline if Ends is on the same night as 2018 and Kills. And also, if you're doing it on the same night, you're really making that night one of the longest damn nights in the history of the world, because you're saying post Ends, it's like, how much time do we have until the sun comes up? I mean, we really have to take out Michael at IHOP then. Michael's going to be there getting his breakfast at that point. But I would have loved to see if they did a whole trilogy on one night. It would have been very fascinating to see that. Thank you again to Byron on your thoughts there. And finally, I have some hot takes from Just KB5, JUSSKB5, who we always appreciate, always comments on all the videos, and always does a fantastic job of giving feedback. So big shout out to JUSSKB5. Okay, when you think about it, every Laurie sequel is trash. Well, man, I gotta hear more about this. Halloween 2, she's in the hospital, does absolutely nothing until the end with the gun. Halloween 2, I mean, look, I mean, if you want to say she's a great final girl in Halloween 1978, I think that is overstating. But she's not a great final girl in Halloween 2. She doesn't do jack shit. She lays in the hospital at the end. And really, Loomis comes to save the day again, so I agree with that. Halloween Resurrection, the sequel to H2O, she's committed, does nothing, had the kill, but made a stupid decision. She does make a really stupid mistake at the beginning of Resurrection. You can't be dealing with Michael in a way where you're like putting your knife down, be like, let me just grab for the mask because I have to know. Come on, any first movie final girl would know better than do that. And Halloween Kills sequel to Halloween 18 in the hospital again does nothing. Absolutely true. They repeat the same mistake with Halloween Kills, leave her in the hospital. If you're going to make it such a big thing about Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers, then you have to give the audience that. Halloween Kills, you don't really establish a new main character, so we don't care about anybody that's actually getting killed there. You need more Laurie Strode in Halloween Kills. I will say that Laurie Strode is effective in Halloween 2018, and she's very effective. Her shining moment of the entire franchise is Halloween H2O. The last 20 minutes, close the gate, squash the lock, grab the axe, Michael! 20-minute one-on-one mano with Michael Myers, and she comes out on top, chops his damn head off, cuts to the amazing John Carpenter score, end of Halloween H2O. Fantastic. And that was Michael's head she cut off, not a damn paramedic. Don't believe that for 1 second. Okay, and let's see. Also, I've said before, swap the character of 2018 and ends Laurie. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've talked about this as well. Halloween 2018, Halloween Ends. Laurie Strode's character makes more sense if you flip those two interpretations. How she is in Halloween Ends, that's how she should be after 40 years with no activity from Michael. She should be in her kitchen, baking cookies, baking cakes, trying to make a cronut. It's difficult to actually bake a cronut. I don't know if you guys know that's a mix of a donut and a croissant. Very fascinating, very tasty, but I don't know how to make it. I gotta find a good recipe for a cronut. That's what Laurie Strode should be doing at the beginning of Halloween 2018. Making cronuts, living life, chilling, and then based on the events of Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, she should have the compound. She should be doing, gun practice, watching Terminator 2, getting inspiration from Sarah Connor, doing 75 push-ups. That should be her in Halloween Ends. Absolutely agree with that. Oh, well, I think that might be it. Let's see. Who else we got here? All right. Well, Amila Carmuza 4218 came back with one final comment. I've never had a problem with the fact that Laurie spends most of her time being in a hospital bed in the sequel because I don't watch these movies for Laurie's sake. It's an interesting theory, just the idea of that. I don't care about Laurie anyway, so let her be in the hospital because I don't care to see her anyways. I get that. I've also never had a problem with the brother-sister aspect. People act as if Michael Myers wasn't originally a family killer. Yeah, we talk about it in the comments. It's true. The Michael kills the family thing is established in the first movie. He kills his sister as his first kill. So it does tie into a brother-sister thing perfectly there. Okay, well, listen, I've responded to all the hot takes you guys have given me. If you give me more hot takes, more comments, I will try to respond to them in the future. We're not that far from Halloween. We're in August now, so heading into the Halloween season, which means a lot more fun Halloween stuff coming. And as always, if you like this video, please subscribe, hit the like button, hit the thumbs up, leave me some comments. Until next time, you guys take care.